Madam Chair, that is the group that made a presentation to us a month or so ago from Albany Law School. One question that we had was so that we don't go over the procurement policy and have to, which requires approvals, that we put a cap on this so that it's not an open-ended contract. I think they had what, 40 was, there was a dollar amount associated with it. And, I do think that, we found in other consulting arrangements recently that, consultants aren't often willing to put a cap on things, but I think we need to get a scope of work and put a cap on it. Do you have with you, Rebecca, the dollar amount that they had proposed?
I recall that they had talked about I'm just gonna, what I remember is the number $5,000 as the sort of
Cap. So why don't we,
what it would, but I think that if the contract is not available right now, does anybody have a copy of it anywhere?
No.
Like,
why don't we continue, Madam Chair, and I'll get a copy for everyone.
Copy the next we have the 75 North 7 Depot District Project, 708 State Street Project. We're here to listen to the financial analysis report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The final report from BJH Advisors is a written document which each of you have received and which is now online. It has been for several days. It's available and it is the more detailed and version of what they presented to us, both in writing and on their presentation at the last board meeting. And it provides the backup and some of the data calculations that in support of their previous presentation. So unless there are any questions, it's their final written report.
I did have a question. You calling on me? So I was just noticing page 8, just the paragraph BJH compared the projected residential rents as recorded in the pro forma to the residential and commercial rents as projected by CoStar. And so I just wondered if we could look at those numbers and just understand the difference between the pro forma. Pro forma represents as, like, for example, a 2022 rent for a 3-bedroom apartment, and what CoStar represents. And the review says something like that basically, the assessment that the financial review makes is that they find it reasonable to include conservative, i.e. lower than market rent assumptions, given the unpredictability of the current market as the city of Hudson emerges from the COVID-19 pandemic. And I wondered if we could just discuss that given the actual conditions of the market forces on the Hudson rental market, which do not seem to be, there don't seem to be any downward trends happening. And so I just, there's a 37% difference between what CoStar suggests and what the pro forma suggests. And
So it would be worse now, right? Is that what you're saying? Because are you saying that the COVID experience has driven rents up higher than what even CoStar is proposed as identified?
yes,
And they were already higher than the developer.
well, yeah, I mean, I actually am not trying to say that rents are higher than CoStar suggests. I'm pointing out that for the analysis that BJA suggesting, reasonable to include conservative market rent assumptions doesn't seem to me to make sense. And I mean, I just wanted to find out if anyone else had noticed this. Because to some extent, you know, it seems to me that it would have bearing on basically the profit margin of the developer, if I'm correct in how this works. And that, so that assumption, you know, the difference there, I mean, they suggest that the fact that it's different is balanced out by, I mean, or the fact that it's considerably different, 37% different, is balanced out by the fact that the pro forma rents for the 2 and 3, where is it? Sorry. The pro forma rents for the 1-bedroom units are slightly higher than CoStar rents. But if you look at the slight higher in this, it's I believe it's, well, yeah, it's 3% or, so it's a much different.
But I thought if you looked at the 3-bedroom, the CoStar rents are higher than what the pro forma is showing.
That's right.
Right. So the proposed rents are lower than what the market,
Well, but
It's
this is
projected.
not,
right? CoStar is a, I believe it's an economic,
but these, no, I'm sorry, these
service.
are the market rents.
right?
I mean, and if somebody can explain to me why this
Yeah.
makes sense, that would be great. 'Cause I'm
Okay.
just having difficulty understanding.
Well, since there's no, because we still haven't had any determination from the planning board, why don't we set up a call for you with the consultant, and if you have further questions, we can discuss it prior to any. Questions.
Also do,
Can you speak up and,
sorry. So you, Dan Hubble from Lake and counsel for the applicant. So just to zoom back, because Rebecca, you were like really close. Zoom back just to remind you. I don't know what report is. Is that for 708 State Street? Is that the report?
it's a joint
This is-
report.
The joint-
Yeah.
Right. So let me just zoom out to like a large picture here. Both projects, the rents charged are capped based on area median income, which is published by HIDA. And so the 708 state, where we have capped at that. So, and the way the rent is calculated is AMI.
Normally what happens
I got it. Thanks. Thanks.
So sorry about that. That's okay, and that's what it is, like a little reminder to
One moment in time, one market. Your point though, we know that first, so that's one of the reasons I think but whether we could put together a financial model with banks,
Wish your wife a happy
I don't think I
birthday.
know. Mainly to achieve a project that's financed, that is because if we have a financial project, e.g. a project that an institutional lender will say, yeah, we'll give you construction financing on this, and we'll give you permit financing on this, so they're underwriting this. If we hit that threshold, then essentially that's the threshold that we can say this is going to be a successful project. It's not going to be a project that's going to be a downward distress on it as a result of taxes or other issues that we face. So, for a project that can only survive if it has the highest possible limits. Right. And so from reviewing the DJH report, the employment report, what they said, particularly for 708 State, was, look, the ask for 708 State is a little much. We're going to adjust it. We think the pilot should be adjusted down based on where is the problem that fits with something that got a financial. We have a financial project, which then would be successful.
And we can set that call up anyway, if, just so you're comfortable with the response.
Now we have the record of public hearing.
Madam Chair, as you know, the agency conducted a public hearing at Hudson Hall. That hearing was broadcast to the public if you were not able to attend. A public comment period was maintained for a week following that public hearing. And the packet that you have before you, members of the agency, includes the comments received both during the comment period, which was from the start of the public notice to the Tuesday after the public hearing. But we also received comments which we felt were important to share with you, even though they were outside of that legal comment period, both prior to the comment period and after the comment period. We thought that any comment that a member of the public would provide before the meeting, before the vote of the agency, would be useful to you in your evaluation.
The recording is still available to watch.
And yes, the recording is available. There's a link on the City of Hudson IDA website for the public hearing, as well as all of the documents, including the comment letters and the draft resolutions, the consultant's report. They're all on the homepage of the IDA, which is a page on the city's website.
Great.
Council, is there anything else you wanted us to review as part of the public hearing?
not as part of the public hearing, just that any of the board members that weren't present at the public hearing should review the record. The full record.
including the video.
Well, the record of the public hearing is very complete, so.
Okay. But the video is available if you, yeah.
Should be made available on the website. So if you and Matt and all the comments.
And we want to thank the members of the public who did provide comments and who did attend the hearing on a very warm night in a room that was very difficult to hear, even with a very expensive sound system.
Before we move forward, are there any other questions? Of what we just discussed? On to other business.
Madam Chair, we did provide each of you a moment ago a copy of the proposal letter from Living Communities Consultant. The initial scope of their work is to analyze a representative group of uniform pilot policies and conducting a review with respect to social and economic criteria. And further work is agreed upon in advance. Their proposed fee is $400 and $425 per hour. They'll submit an invoice following the delivery of their initial work product. They anticipate 7 to 12 hours, so the range would be 3,000 to 5,000. This includes a synthesis of leading best practices approach to scoring pilot applications. And I know Rebecca has had several conversations with them, and I had one or two as well.
Yeah, I'd like to point out that, I mean, I think that what they're offering in that first deliverable is a little bit of just a sort of summarizing to a certain extent, like it's a sort of memorandum or other document. And I think what we need, or maybe what we, I mean, I would like to know if this is what everyone can agree we need is, you know, is to actually have a consultant aid our IDA in constructing our actual review process document. So what the tool that we need to create like a more consistent approach to reviewing pilots. And so, so I think what they are asking in the first deliverable, so and you can see in the first paragraph of the letter, the second deliverable would be further work as agreed upon in advance. So I would like to propose that it's reasonable to cap for number 1 and number 2, like $7,000.
Well, your policy procedures for procurement of services for goods under $20,000. You have established policy from $2,000 to $10,000, documented verbal quotes from at least 3 vendors.
I'm sorry,
Now,
are you saying that if it's under,
if it goes over a certain dollar amount, I mean, I would start with $2,000 and see what they propose.
if
And
it goes over what? We have to do the procurement process.
$2,100. Now, I guess for professional services, is there a exclusion for that or an exemption?
I'd have to look at what it should be on the policy line. The IDA, I believe, adopted the same policy as the city has, if I recall. So they would be following the city's policies.
Does say procedures for purchases of services under 35,000, up to $3,000 at the discretion of the CFO, who is Heather. $3,000 to $15,000, documented 3 vendors. So presumably you could start with 3,000 and then and develop what a more definitive project based on what information they provide you, and then decide if you want to contract for a larger scope of work. I would also recommend that that we take out pilot, that it address all the benefits of the IDA in their analysis.
Yeah.
I'm not able to modify, well, it's their proposal, but if you make a motion, Rebecca, for $3,000 and expand it to include an evaluation of the IDA process, not just pilots.
Hold on.
Best practice as opposed to scoring applications. If we just take the word pilot out,
Okay.
it would work. Here, again. Yeah.
Great. I would like to make a motion that we hire these consultants with a cap of $3,000 to provide this first deliverable with the possibility of further work with possible procurement procedures if necessary.
Second.
All,
Moving pilot from.
Right, so they would, the first review would be to provide an overview of scoring the application itself, not just the terms of a pilot.
make a motion again. So I would like to make a motion that we hire these consultants with a cap of $3,000 to provide the first deliverable in this letter, removing the limitation on scoring pilot applications and including scoring all applications to the IDA and our whole process with providing benefits or something like that.
Right.
To,
I think if you just remove that one word,
Yep.
It will.
that's the motion.
All in favor? Anyone opposed? Opposed for the living community consultants. Include their acceptance of.
So could I just ask, once you reach terms with them, normally we would have a professional services agreement. Rebecca, like the ones that you've seen today, is that something that you want in this relationship?
Yeah.
Okay. We have a standard form, and what we do is just attach the scope of services for the particular project and so forth. Okay.
Great. Should I contact them to, or
Yeah, we'll coordinate that with you. Happy to do that.
Do you have any other questions or comments from the board? Moving on to any other businesses? Any other comments, any other business?
sorry, I just wanted to add to that previous thing that I feel like it would be wise to, I would like to make a motion that this work be on a timeline to proceed with the deliverable in a timely fashion before the next pilot proposal review, or I'm sorry, the next application review.
Well, I think you're gonna have to give your consultant or work out with your consultant a reasonable period for them to. Yeah, control it. And
That's
you
true.
really have to consider the application, whether or not you're done adopting a different policy, but we have to, a reasonable period for the. I think you can recommend a period of time for that, based on the conversations you've had with them.
Well, and I also think that based on the reduction of the scope of the work to $3,000, that it'll be a good test to see how quickly they can get the work done and how effective they'll be going forward.
60 days, 90 days, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
certainly 60. Well, we started, yeah. I would say 60 days would be more than enough, because I've sent them policies from 8 other IDAs that so they just have to review them and give us their professional evaluation. It's that they in an effort to get them started and to make a proposal, we provided the pilot evaluation policies, I think for 6 or 8 IDAs.
So this is what we'll be doing 60 days, and then you can consider it.
Great.
Any public comment?
And, Chair, before you move on, we provided, I would like to call your attention to draft resolutions. They're not for draft resolutions for finding. There, of course, because this hasn't been completed, there's no action that the board can take today. But when the board is reviewing an application for assistance, it needs to make findings about whether or not the assistance is needed. And so the resolution goes through, and you have to follow the process that we have in place now for considering the factors that are in your policy. So the resolution goes through those factors and makes draft findings. So I want to make sure that the board has had a chance to review those. And if you wanted to go through those today, or if you want to take them back and review them to make sure that they make sense to you, whether or not you agree with them, we should talk about that. We can make changes. That's really the purpose of the draft is to see if this is what you're thinking.
Those findings now, or you want to take time to go over it and have your,
The other thing that's in here is there are a series of findings that are based on